Hey guys, Caleb Giddings from Taurus USA, and I'm here to give you an overview of what I believe to be the best production revolvers on the market right now, the Executive Grade. The Executive Grade series was born out of an idea that Taurus could take our base lineup of guns like the 856, like the Judge, the 605, the 692, and make them better. And how does that work? Well, it starts with the one gun, one gunsmith concept. Each executive grade revolver that you see here is assembled by hand by one gunsmith from start to finish. Once the parts come out of the forge that makes them, they go to one guy and he builds that gun. And yet, despite having multiple highly trained gunsmiths working on these guns, every single one has the same perfect trigger pull. What we have here are three of the latest models in the Executive Grade series. The full line is the Taurus 856 Executive Grade, which was the first pistol that we launched with. We then brought the Taurus Judge to the Executive Grade. The Judge, like all Executive Grades, has a beautiful satin stainless steel finish. It was the first to incorporate the brass rod front sight. It has presentation grade wood grips, just like the 856. And in my opinion, this Taurus Judge has the best double action trigger in a production handgun on the market right now. And I know because I've shot most of them. I would take this out of the box and I would run it and I would put it up against any other high-end double action revolver, most of which cost thousands of dollars more than one of our executive grade guns. Next, after the Judge, we brought the 605 Executive Grade. This was a direct response to consumer feedback that we got from the 856. While the 856 is still my favorite and still holds my heart, consumers asked for a couple of changes. First, they wanted it in 357 Magnum. The 856 is a 38 special only to get that sixth shot in there. So we went to the 605, a 5-shot 357 Magnum gun. Secondly, customers wanted us to give it a hammer spur back. The 856 was double action only, spec'd out by people like myself who really believe that you should shoot your defensive revolvers double action. But customers wanted the ability to cock the hammer and shoot it single action, so we gave them that on the 605 Executive Grade. Fun fact, I actually drove here today with a different 605 Executive Grade as my carry gun with Hornady Critical Defense 135 grain 357 Magnum ammo. I really like this gun, and I think to me it is the epitome of a 3-inch 5-shot 357 Magnum. Again, that brass rod front sight is incredibly durable, but it provides great contrast for aiming. It balances out the flat rear sight so I can pick up a good quick sight picture and get a good trigger press and deliver those 357 rounds accurately. Moving on, our most recent update to the Executive Grade series is the incredible 692. Now, this one does come from the factory with the presentation grade wood grips, but I have a confession, guys. I was so excited to get this gun that I took it out and I put these VZ grips on it so I could take it to the range and shoot it, just because I really enjoy how the VZ grips feel when I'm trying to run a gun fast. The grips on this are going to be the same grips that you see here on the Taurus Judge and are actually interchangeable. If I wanted to, I could pop these off and pop them onto the 692 because the Judge and the Tracker series that this is based on share a common grip frame size. But now back to the 692 Executive Grade. What makes this gun so cool? Well, it's a 692. Why is the 692 cool? Because it's a 3-inch ported gun that has a really neat party trick. So if you notice on the 692, there's a little button here. I wonder what that does. Well, if I open up this cylinder and I press this button, the cylinder comes out in my hand. That's cool. I assure you the gun's not broken right now. And what that does is I can swap from this, the 9mm cylinder, to a 357 Magnum cylinder back and forth. This gun has the ability to shoot 4 if you count some of the weird 38s, but really 3 calibers. 357 Magnum or 38 Special out of the 357 cylinder, and 9mm using 7-shot moon clips out of the 9mm cylinder. It's also ported. Why is that cool? Well, 9mm operates at a higher chamber pressure than 38, which means this porting really works to help keep the gun flat in recoil. It has the same brass rod front sight as the other two executive grade series guns that you see here, and an adjustable rear sight. That adjustable rear sight is especially important because it allows me to switch from having the gun zeroed for slower 38 special rounds to faster and lighter 9mm rounds. And just like every executive grade gun, it is hand built and hand finished. That means that the action in this is polished by a single gunsmith, giving it one of the smoothest double action triggers of any gun I've ever shot. And if you're into that sort of thing, the single action triggers on these guns are fantastic as well. You can see how little movement there is when I press this trigger to the rear before the sear disengages and the hammer falls. The Taurus Executive Grade series were an idea. And the idea was, how can we take our best-selling guns that we already know are good, like the 856, like the Judge, like the 605, like the Tracker 692, and how do we make them better? How do we make them a gun where I would say, I'm going to buy this gun, I'm going to modify it to put grips on it, or I'm not going to modify it, and in 25 years, I'm going to give this gun to my son after I've shot a lifetime out of it, and it'll still be just as good as it was on the day I bought it? When the answer was the executive grade. The answer was to take the skill and the labor that we have in our Brazilian production facility and marry it with American design and ingenuity, and to create these guns that are hand-built by a master gunsmith to the standard that revolvers used to be built to back in the 1950s and 60s. When people think of a hand-built custom revolver, they didn't used to think of a Taurus. Now with the Taurus Executive Grade, they should.